Everybody, we're going live here for Tuesday Talks, and today we are speaking with an amazing entrepreneur and soul called Cory3Wing. Now, Cory3Wing is a creation and insight coach, certified with both Magnetic Mind Method and Mind Valley Ever Coach as well, and is also facilitator for A Circle Way. We'll find out more from Cory when he joins us. So let me get Cory on board here.
Hey, hi Cory3Wing, how are you doing?
I'm good, Zishan. Thanks for having me on today. I really appreciate being here.
No, thank you very much for your time as well to coming on to Tuesday Talks and sharing your journey. So I've done a short introduction, but you're the best person to give it a bit more justice and expound onto it. So let us know for the audience who you are, what you do, and the biggest question will be, why do you do it, Cory3Wing?
Right on. Well, my name's Cory3Wing, and my mom gave me the name Cory. And, and I also really love the rites of passage moment when we choose a name to call ourselves, right? And so 3Wing was the name that I choose to call myself, which comes from a place in New Mexico in the cedar trees that was named 3Wing, where I have cried and I have healed and I have laughed and I have been at peace and changed who I've become. I became the man I am today by being, in the nature of the high mountains of New Mexico. And that place changed me for the better. And so I chose my name 3Wing after that place in the cedar trees at 8,000 feet.
Wow.
So I'm Cory3Wing, and so I love the name Cory that my mom gave me, and I think they go well together, Cory3Wing. So that's my name. And, I come into coaching from a 30-year career in professional show business. I've been touring the world for the last 25 years with the 7th largest ballet company in the world, building gigantic productions of Nutcracker, Swan Lake, Sleeping Beauty, and those kinds of things. And this definitely applies to the world of coaching. And let me just tell you a quick story about how this is important to me, is that in that world of show business, we hire a temporary boss, a choreographer or a director, to come in with a new, crazy, wackadoodle concept idea for a new production. And it is not our job to say no. We get fired for that. It's our job to say how, right? And so when we take responsibility for that, we say, okay, I have this much time, this much money, this much know-how, this is where I need help. And then everybody says yes from that deepest place in your heart to create something magical and impossible. And every single time, Friday night, opening night, 8 o'clock, the curtain goes out. Every time, right? And so I learned that I've got these massive creation skills, right? Where I could give it away to a bunch of thankless, kind of mean people, just being polite. And I could work with a whole bunch of other people who don't necessarily like each other with a common goal called opening night. Mm-hmm. And the magic happens, right? And so then about maybe 10 years ago, and I was chasing showbiz as a kid and through college and this, that, and the other, but I realized that my soul was not really in it anymore. And playing with show business at a really large corporate level, it's hard to remember the magic in the art because it turns into money and politics. Mm-hmm. Right? And so all of a sudden I started really questioning, like, this isn't filling my heart anymore. But wait a minute, I have a good job. I'm touring the world. I'm going to the theaters across the world. I have a job that's coveted by other people, but my heart wasn't in it. And then I got sick, right? And I got super sick and I got diagnosed. I found out that I was HIV positive, but I had a false HIV negative test. So I didn't know that I was positive, and I got more sick and more sick. And next thing I know, I had full-blown AIDS and didn't know it. And then one day I kind of figured that out. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I've never been so relieved in the world to know it's HIV positive. That's all it is. I know just what to do. I lived through the AIDS epidemic in the 80s. And so it's one pill a day, fine. And then I said, okay, I wasn't happy and I got sick. Now how do I chase my happiness? And then I realized, wait a minute, I've got these massive creation skills that I've been giving away. But I also learned I hadn't learned to love myself enough to do it for me. So all of a sudden I started to do this healing work, and I started taking meditation classes and inside classes. And I found Mind Valley years ago, started taking a whole bunch of Mind Valley classes, and learning one step at a time and little baby steps. And then all of a sudden it came true to me. Like I started loving myself enough. I started receiving the gift that I knew I could give away easily. Right? So then I was like, okay, my world's coming together. I started taking meditation. And I started doing really good work for myself. And then I've always been a part-time life coach my whole life anyway. In fact, I remember being 16, 17, watching the young Tony Robbins, on television way back then in late 80s, early 90s. And I was like, I can do what he does. But there's something about him that I didn't trust at the time because there was so many people that couldn't afford him. And he was helping one in front of 5,000. And I was like, well, how do I do that? I don't know. But then show business, got a scholarship, and I chased that dream for a while. But then that original self-help coaching dream that's been on the back burner the whole time came back to life. And I thought, okay, well, how do I get certified? And so then I took Michael Neal's class and Christine Hassler's class with Mind Valley years ago. And then I started doing the work. And then I found the work of Chris Duncan and the Magnetic Mind out of Sydney. And I spent 2 years doing that work, and I started building my business and realized that I was healing like crazy. And part of being a coach is that you do your own healing first. It's like, man, if you're going to take somebody else on their healing journey, you would best have done the work yourself first. So then I really started looking at myself and healing myself and realizing that I've got a really amazing gift to give. And I love this quote from Lisa Nichols, where we climb out of our story, our victim story, and then we stand on top of our victim story. Like, whoa, that new relief, that new love, that new healing, that new possibility where the impossible becomes possible. So now we're on top of our story, and then we shout our rooftop message to the world to say, if I can do it, I know you can too. Here's my hand. Grab it when you're ready. Grab it when you're ready. And then that turned into not just my own coaching practice and helping individuals, but then I started doing teamwork with other coaches and coaching coaches. And then, of course, I've grown into group coaching with the Circle Way, which, is such a cool thing. I've brought the Circle Way to several other coaches, and lots of people are now using Circle Way as the model to hold a group coaching situation where you can have a vulnerable and brave conversation in a group, in a circle, even on Zoom, where you can harvest the wisdom in the room, and so the Circle Way is a really amazing journey. And I've been doing that for 15 years, doing the Circle Way stuff, and that came because my mom, my sweet mom, Carla Kelly, ran the Human Rights Education Center of Utah for a long time, where we would do these kinds of sacred circles with HR departments and our cops and our judges. And, we'd get the CEO out of the main office and sitting in a circle in the room where we could have the janitor and the CEO solve the problems of an organization in the same conversation. So that's some of the goodness that the Circle Way brings. And then we bring the Circle Way into group coaching, and the two worlds are so in alignment. Because then we harvest the wisdom in the room. Everybody in the room is guaranteed a voice in that way. And it's a really delicious way for humans to be together. So that's a little of how I got from show business into my own suffering, into my healing, into realizing I got a really good gift to give that I can't not give it. And now I'm rallying around and becoming colleagues with my mentors, people like yourself. And what a cool thing that is. That feels amazing to me.
That's actually amazing, and I am already in awe of the journey. And you haven't even told us a little bit more about it. You just told us the beginning, and
Right.
it's an amazing journey that you've just shared us. And I wanted to also say thank you very much to already starting this conversation with the vulnerability of yourself, right? So this is something quite common, even though we are coaches or we are with other coaches, we are we still tend to hide our vulnerabilities and, go into bubbles and
Yeah, we do.
don't open up. And what I've found is by being vulnerable, by opening up to what is happening to you, it's actually you actually get the right support that you are looking. You maybe not being aware of that you can get, right? And
Yes.
it just comes to you because you are voicing it, and that's where. And I love that you shared that vulnerability side. So you voiced it out, you acknowledged it, and you're happy to share with everybody else. Look, this is it, and this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. So thank you very much for this. So taking us through the current journey in terms of, right, you said you are also now working with a few other coaches together and doing the Circle Way and building something new.
Yeah, actually, so like in this work of like coming out of the 2 years and doing a whole bunch of work with the magnetic mind community, where I learned a whole bunch of ways to be a coach as well as to team up with other coaches and how to build a coaching practice, right? And so like in that model, that simple model, it's like, okay, you start out as a single coach and you just start coaching people one-on-one best you can. You just go crazy, as many clients as you can find. You start coaching, you're building your skills, you're building your content, you're building your repertoire, you're finding out what your unique signature gift is as a coach. Like, what kind of coach are you? Are you, health and nutrition, insight, creativity, whatever kind of coach, whatever your gift is, right? And then, you start working in from one-on-one, then you start doing a group. So like this business model then would be, it's like, how do I go from single clients to group clients? And so one of that business models that I was doing 2 years ago was on Facebook, back before Facebook changed to what it is now. We had a free group, a Facebook group, like a free membership group where we talked about the benefits of coaching, but we didn't do any coaching because that was the upsell to my membership site that said, okay, if you want the coaching, instead of one golden nugget, you can get a bucket of golden nuggets by signing up for my membership site. And then, of course, if you get, 20 or 30 people in a group all paying you, then of course you maximize the money you're making for the time you're spending, because you can really only have so many one-on-one clients before you run out of time at the end of the week.
Yeah.
Right. So then that business model then goes from the next step is, well, now I've got, there's what I'm good at, insight coach, creativity coach, identity coach. And I say, okay, well, how about if I partner up with a nutrition coach and a hollow body coach, or these different coaches that all are a wealth management coach or a spirituality coach. Then all of a sudden you get 3 or 4 coaches that you partner with, that you are in alignment with, and all of a sudden you team coach. You can build this new model of say, okay, now we're going to have this virtual event. We're going to have 4 or 5 coaches coming together. We're going to offer our unique gift. We're going to put it out to the world, and sign up for our cool 4-day event or however you structure it. There's a VIP access to get bonus items. And of course, you put all your marketing strategy on top of that, like sign up now, get the free gift, get the Ginsu knife set or whatever, and then of course that is the rehearsal as coaches as we grow our practices to then do live events at big hotels, right? And some of the people that I went to school with 2 years ago in Magnetic Mind are now hosting massive events in Cabo San Lucas, right? And they're being very profitable doing exactly this business model. So you kind of start as individual coach, kind of figuring out who you are and what your gift is. And then you start growing that into group coaching. You're building your practice, building your tribe, building your team. Then your team turns into other coaches and this beautiful gift of collaboration where you're sharing the wisdom with other people. And now your unique gift that we're giving back to our clients in the world becomes even more significant. And of course, people are willing to pay even more money for a much bigger gift. And then of course we practice, then we take that to an event coaching. Like, we rent a hotel somewhere and we do a whole thing. We bring in VIPs and guest artists and we sell books and content and do a big event. So now this is the, financially the ways that we can build our businesses as coaches, so, and what I've discovered, not only am I working with clients, but I love helping coaches build their practice, right? And so I bet you right now, about half of my clients are coaches learning coaching, coaches learning, building their business. And what a cool conversation to be in, because, they're exciting to me and I know I'm exciting to them. And they've already done a whole bunch of their own personal healing because they're coaches. If you start with a brand new client on their own healing journey, you have to go a little slower at first. You have to do a little bit more teaching, a little hand holding. Let's figure out where you are in the cosmic bridge and I'll serve you and get you there. But coaches, they're significantly across that cosmic bridge. We can start further on the path and go quicker. So that's exciting. So that's a little bit of that business structure. And then I know that JP was on your show last week. We met in the Mind Valley, as well as two other coaches, Deborah and Alana. They're wealth management and social media coaches. The four of us are doing this exact model together. I put this out there to my classes and to them, and they went, "Oh, that's cool. Can we do it?" So then we spent a couple of weeks, couple of months thinking and pondering and dreaming, and then some structure showed up. And all of a sudden we went, well, I could do this, and then, I could do that, and you could do this. And next thing you know, we're doing Zoom calls and creating stuff. And now, and just 2 weeks ago, we launched, our ticket sales to this event. It's going to be October 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. It's called clearcoachingconcepts.com. If you wanted to look at that, you could sign up there. And that program is for new coaches, to get your business off the ground, everything you're going to need to go from, oh my gosh, I'm a new coach, I just got certified, now what? And to get you with, content creation, collaboration, working with others, as well as wealth management and mindset and the social media and the marketing piece to actually get you in front of people in the spotlight so that you've got people signing up to give you some money to get your business successful so you can quit your day job and coach full time. So that's what we're doing, so we are kind of busy living that example. I'm also, really looking for the one-on-one clients that really want that full coaching package as well. But, because I love both, but I realized yeah.
So that's actually amazing. And yeah, JP and I are part of the same cohort for the business certification we just did from Mind Valley.
The CBC, right.
CBC, that's so,
right on. Yeah, cool.
So, and when you're telling the story, and I'm like, I can see so many coaches who are now launching the first time, the new coaches who have actually crossed the bridge. So that, as you said, you can now start further on the journey now, where they just need a bit of guidance and show and tell sort of thing. And that's where you come in then, in terms of and your event that is launching. So what do we expect on that event for, let's say, the other coaches that are watching this episode at the moment?
Well, the four of us, like I sort of alluded to it when I just said it, but let me break it down a little bit more clearly, is that JP is really about emotions and habits in his coaching. Like, let's undo the old emotions and habits and rebuild the new emotions and habits. And of course, I'm good at that too. But because I come from the magnetic mind world, with Chris Duncan and the superconscious recode, I'm going to bring in some of the structure around what coaching sessions require, and I'll come back to that in a minute because I want to talk about that in more detail. But just to finish the thought about this Clear Coaching Concepts 4-day event, our partners, Deborah and Alana, she's a full-time nurse as well, but she's also a social media master, where she's helping coaches right now, especially coming out of Mind Valley, about how to get your social media set up, right? And so she's done a whole bunch of that work already, just to make sure that Instagram and, your Facebook and everything else is coming together. You're set up in a good way. But what's next is how to use it, how to actually play with the toys. Now you've got the toy, you got it home, you took the cellophane off, you got the box open. Now what? How do you use this? How do you get them cross-pollinating and getting yourself in the spotlight so that you got clients coming in? As well as collaborating with other people on their social media platforms as well. Kind of like you and I right now on Instagram. So it's about that. And then Deborah, her mother comes from wealth management, and her perspective on money is so delicious because you talk about your personal well-being, you talk about your health and fitness, you talk about your vitality, you talk about these elements, what it is to be human, to be a healthy, well-rounded human, right? And then you talk about your business, and then you talk about money, right? Because so often when we're building a business, we go right to the money and right to the business, but we don't put together all of these parts of it to make it a strong foundation, right? And a lot of us are coming into our businesses with our old money story. I often talk about money in my practice as the silent roommate we all live with. And are you nice to that roommate? And is that roommate nice to you? Do you have a good relationship with the silent roommate called money? Right. And so then all four of us are coming into this coaching package to help coaches launch their businesses, to give you a well-rounded 4-point of view perspective on building a level foundation of your coaching practice, so that when you build your cosmic house of your coaching practice, that you're building it on a solid level foundation. And I love that metaphor of architecture as we're building our businesses, because if you're building it on a non-level platform, it's going to fall down, and you're going to have to learn. You're going to learn some lessons. So we're talking about, let's learn some lessons before the structure is stable. So it's some of those things. That's what we're talking about. So that's a little hint of what clearcoachingconcepts.com is going to do for coaches. Now, it's not just that 4-day event. We don't quite have the structure of this ready, but we've committed to then after that to do a 1-year membership, like mastermind for coaches, where you'll get access to all 4 of us coaches and content, as well as special guests from the world of coaching to come in as VIPs for learning opportunities. And so the 4 of us have committed to each other for 1 year, not just for this 4-day event, but for 1 year to just come together and to be the example. And so we're super excited about this challenge, to step in and walk around in these new shoes.
I love this actually, and then by just listening to you, I'm getting excited myself as well.
Awesome.
I would 100% recommend to anybody who's watching this now or listening to this later. Just want to say what dates were they? There were dates in October.
It's October 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. It's a 4-day event. And it will be 3 hours of learning on those 3 days. And there's 25 seats for the VIP, and then the VIP will actually get an extra hour of question and answers with us and a whole bunch of other goodies. And there's only 100 seats for that. We only have room for 100 seats and then 25 VIP. And so, because we want to make sure that we can give everybody the attention we can. And so that's what's going on with that, and we're pretty excited. We're pretty excited.
Yeah, I love this. I'll just put a date to it in terms of this is for 2022, just in case the podcast version of this
thank you.
It's a little bit later on in the year, because I know the podcast version is a little bit behind than the actual episodes that we get on Instagram Live. But yeah, so. Is there, but I mean, even if people are now listening to this as a podcast version, reach out to Cory3Wing on Instagram or the website that was mentioned. So, it's there, reach out to that. I'm sure there will be something even better and fantastic. And awesomer is the new word we've been using. It's going to be there. So I mean, take us through. You said you wanted to expand on something earlier you were saying. So
yes.
Take us through that.
So, in this world of coaching, I think there's some really important things that happen in every coaching session everywhere. And I think a lot of this wisdom comes, deeply rooted in the world of neuro-linguistic programming with, the work of Tim and Chris Halbum and a whole bunch of these other people that have been doing it for a really long time, teaching coaches, raising up coaches. And as well, this comes from like Chris Duncan, the magnetic mind. It comes from Ajit and Vision through Mind Valley. But a lot of it, the very first thing you want to do in a coaching practice, in a coaching session, is establish your current reality. Like, what's it like for you right now? Why are you here in the coaching? Why are you getting some coaching? Why are you asking for some help? What are your pain points or suffering points, or what are you struggling with? Your current reality. And the next question is, okay, what is your desired reality, or the end result, or the goal that you're going after? What do you need help with? What would you love to happen? I love that question. I love, instead of what's your goal? What do you want to achieve? I love to reframe it into, well, what would you just love? What would you love? Because, in my work, it's all about true choices. And the definition of a true choice is it's one you make only because you absolutely love it. No description, no definition, no defense necessary. It's a decision that gives you butterflies and goosebumps at the same time. Right? So current reality and your desired reality, where you are right now and the road to get you to what you love, the goal. And sometimes that's a new job or a relationship or a new house or a healing of some kind, letting go of some pain and struggle in exchange for some joy and happiness. Whatever that journey is, but your current reality to your desired reality. Now, the reason I love to talk about this is this does a couple of cool things. When we talk about our current reality and our desired reality, it sets up creative tension, right? Kind of like if you've got your fingers up and a rubber band on both fingers and you give it a little tug.
Yeah.
And one finger is your desired reality, your future, your dream come true, and the other one is your current reality, where you are right now and the reason you desire a change. Be that a struggle or a wounding of some kind or just a desire for something new, whatever it is. But when we set that creative tension, that's creative structure, right? The desired reality and the future reality is the structure. The tension between them, that creative tension, is magical because the natural state of tension seeks resolution. Tension wants to relax. Tension wants to relieve itself. So when we set the tension between where we are and our feelings and what we would love with our goals and our end results, a really amazing thing happens, is that the resistance to that future dream reveals itself. The doubt, the reasons why we don't think we get to, the self-sabotaging identities, like I don't get to, I'm not good enough, I'm not capable, I'm not perfect, all those kinds of things. The beliefs that we often installed when we were children, these as tools to understand why the world is difficult. And we installed those beliefs in our childhood, and then we carry them well into adulthood. But inside that creative structure and that creative tension about where I am now and where I want to go, the reason why you think you can't have it will be revealed. And now we can coach on that. And now we have something to work on. Now we can pinpoint and focus on the healing journey. And sometimes it's not a healing journey. Sometimes it's just rearrange my beliefs that weren't even mine, like with epigenetics. We realize that maybe I'm carrying my great-grandfather and my father's side belief that my whole family does, and we don't even know we do it. But now it's in the way. But there's that amazing thing that happens with that creative tension, creative structure, revealing the resistance and the hesitation to your dream coming true. And so that's such a major part and foundation of the work that I do, is playing with the revealing of the resistance so that we can work on removing the resistance to whatever the goal is. Right?
I love this, and that's so amazing and beautiful. I mean, I'm having a wow moment whilst you were just saying this. It's amazing. So to have that creative tension, which is also, the tension is looking for a resolution, pretty much, right? It wants to relax.
Right.
So to that, and I love this. I'm going to be watching this episode back, so I've got some takeaways myself.
Sweet.
It's amazing. So here's a question for yourself. Obviously, the coaches who are listening to this, or who would want to be coaches or listen to this, or people who want to start something, are watching or listening to this,
Yeah.
and as
Yes.
you've been in the creative industry for a while, and now you're helping others. From your experience, what was the, is there such a routine that worked for you, or something that you started and is still with you at the moment?
Yeah. Routine is everything. It really is, because when we first start this work of coming home again, or healing, or going through the silver white gate, which is the very first gate of a new journey. When we finally put down the old journey and we walk naked into the unknown to do something brand new, right? The silver white gate. Now that's a reference to Angelos Arian, who's one of my all-time heroes, right? When we start a new journey, we do the work of threshing, and we put down our old coat that no longer fits, the one that protected us that no longer protects us. And we walk naked into the unknown, willing for the new adventure, ready, right? So we at that moment, we realize that we've been in a routine. Our old identity, what got us here, our old values that got us to today. And then all of a sudden there's a hunger or a desire for a new routine, or a new way that we feed ourselves, right? And so that happens in a couple of ways. And of course, there's the classic things like, okay, every morning I'm going to get up and do my morning ritual, and so many of our mentors and our heroes talk about first thing in the morning, you want to do some intention and meditation work and self-care, and and learning and reinstall the new dreams with affirmations and all that good work. Yes to all of that. And then I love the repeat of that somewhere midday, and then the repeat of that just before bed, right? With whatever it is that's inspiring you, whatever it is with your current affirmations that's keeping you on track, whatever it is that reminds you to take that old tape back out of the tape player that snuck in there one more time, and to put the new tape of desire in and play it instead. How do we stay in alignment, right? So there's a lot of those things that we've heard from our masters, and I do all of those things, morning pages and journaling. But the thing that I want to say here that's a little bit different, because I do all of those things I just said, and yes, please have a morning ritual. Please set some intentions. Please welcome that delicious, sweet space of silence in your own mind. Yes, come back to dancing. Yes, come back to singing. And yes, come back to, praying in that way, asking the universe for what you want. All of that is that morning routine, all of that good asking. But the thing I want to add to that is something I've been doing for a long time, and I call it the learn, do, teach model. Right? So on top of your morning rituals of all this goodness, the learn, do, teach every day. And this is something I try to do every single day, and I work with my clients on this, is that, you want to take your brain to neuro gym every day. Just like if you take your body to the gym and you flex your muscles to lose weight and build strength, we want to practice our ability to focus in these three ways every single day. Because when we take our brain to brain gym and we learn, that means that we're practicing our ability to receive information, right? We hone our skills to receive complex information. And sometimes that's easy when we're attracted to it or because we need it. But there's other times when it's more mathematical or intellectual or complicated. And when we're flexed with our ability to receive information, it's always easier, and we always move faster with complicated or what could be thought of as difficult things. They come easier when we take our learning to the gym and we practice receiving information, right? That's the learn part. Now then there's the do part. So now take a break, run around, go outside, have some lunch, whatever it is, and now return to the workstation and take your brain back to neuro gym and practice the doing. What are your actions every day? Where are you applying what you learned? Where now you're, instead of receiving information, and now you're figuring and thinking and doing and applying. And this is a really great way to, get things done. Attack your checklist and feel good about the quality of the work you're doing. Because when we flex our ability to focus in this way, we shut out disturbances. Kind of like when we meditate and we finally get good at meditating, and the distractions all of a sudden just become a way to focus more clearly as opposed to a derailment, right? So once again, we practice our ability to think and figure, right? And then we take a break one more time, and then we have a glass of iced tea, and we say hi to our friends, and we go outside and return back to the workstation, and we practice our ability to speak. Learn, do, and teach and speaking. Because this is when, like that Lisa Nichols reference of before, like when you climb out of your story, stand on top of your story and shout your rooftop message to the world. This is where we practice stepping into the light and speaking what we know. And sometimes that's a leadership position where we're in front of people teaching a class. Sometimes that's doing a healing. Sometimes that's just standing up for something that deserves it. Take a stand for something that you believe in. Practice being behind your words. Practice your wordsmithing. Being a poet with how you choose what order you put your words in and why. Right? So these 3 ways that we take our brain to brain gym, to learn and receive information, to do and think and figure, and then to take a stand and teach and speak and be in your words with pride behind you. And part of that, that pride in speaking your words is to be able to take that authentic position to say, this is who I am, this is what I think, and as things change, so do I. And as things change, so do I. So because what I said yesterday might be different than what I say tomorrow, and I will own both of my stories. So that's the thing I wanted to add.
I love this. I love this, and it's such an amazing way of putting this. Learn, do, and then teach. Right. So
Yes.
It's amazing to do on top of all of this. And I was looking at this in terms of, because my forte lies in terms of having a blueprint of where you would like to be. Like you mentioned, the foundations of a house that you want to build on. Yeah, amazing. But to get the house on that foundation, you need the blueprint of that house. And you go to the architect, you get them to this. You tell them your vision, that this is how my house should look like, and then they ask you where the window's going to be, and then they design the sockets and all that stuff, stairs, and wherever the rooms will be, and that's the blueprint, and the people come and build, right?
Right. Well, there was one step right before that I want to throw in, is that the architect actually works for the designer. And the designer is usually you.
Exactly.
Yeah. So where you think about the windows and where you want them, and then the architect goes, okay, well, with that, now we need creative structure to hold up those windows.
Yeah.
And we need to meet the code of the building codes, and now we have to check the boxes and play by the rules and make it possible. Like the dreamer dreams the dream, the architect makes it possible. Right?
Exactly.
I love that metaphor, because then the blueprints come, and now we've got a plan. And then we can put time and calendar into the plan. Right. Exactly right.
Exactly. And that's what I was thinking of as well in regards to your, learn, do, and teach, because that can just be part of a blueprint that, okay, you do all this morning routine, evening routine before bed, but are you doing the learn, do, and teach? Because that will keep everything in a blueprint way of, okay, today I've done this section, tomorrow I'm doing this section, and now I am presenting this section. So it's building on that.
Well, and I think a big part of the learn, Zishan, is the power of the daydream. It's really the power of the daydream. And this is the thing, I really kind of wanted to save this for right at the end of our talk today, because like in the world of show business, we hire the designer, which comes up with that fantastical new wackadoodle idea. And then it's up to us to install it somehow. But the daydream, like in our world today, across the continents, across the countries, for centuries now, we have been told to not daydream. We've been told to not be, to really surrender our power in a big way. And this is not a good thing or a bad thing. This is just what the structure of humanity's been doing for centuries. Our politics and our governments and our religions, to survive, have said, don't think for yourselves, do what we say to stay safe, and give us your money, taxes, or tithing, right? That's okay. That got us here. But here we are in this, like, I think what's going on with the technological revolution in the world right now, and now we are at an information revolution, which is feeding a spiritual revolution of thinking for yourself. The power of the daydream is coming back. When we were kids, I remember, like, don't daydream, focus. Come right back here and do this stuff. Do the work. Do your homework. But in this world of coaching, now we're like, well, wait a second. Let's relearn and remember how to daydream, because this is where the dreams are so important. How do you get the design for the blueprint? Is by dreaming. Or then one step before that is the true choices. What would you absolutely love in your life right now? What would it be to have a new house, or a new life, or a new job, or a new lover, or a new whatever, ... fill in the blank. So we step into the power of the daydream. So then we do a meditation, a guided meditation to say, oh, that would be lovely. And then what I like to do is say, okay, let's revisit that dream 10 times before lunch, 30 times before dinner, and 100 times tomorrow, and 1,000 times before Sunday. So that future dream now becomes a future memory. And every time that we revisit the memory of our future dream, we come back with even more details. Like, oh, my new house has wood floors and a balcony and a pool in the back. And you should see the master bedroom, or whatever it is. But every time we revisit whatever it is that we're trying to create, we come back with more details of how good it could be. Now, this does an amazing thing. This is where the magic lies. Because when we do that, our subconscious mind and our superconscious mind doesn't know the difference between reality and what we're talking about or dreaming about. And it engages our emotions. Because all of a sudden that future dream gets more delicious and more detailed and more beautiful and more exciting every time we revisit the future memory. Then all of a sudden our heart starts to beat a little faster. We sit up a little taller. Oh, that felt so good. And then our dreaming becomes magnetic. It becomes inviting. And what does that do? It sets an anchor into the future that actually pulls us toward it. And when that strong anchor of the future is blowing wind into the sails of what we're creating, the old anchor that was set in our victim story of why we can't, and why we don't, and why we never did, gets pulled up to the ship so that we can set sail to our dreams coming true, right? So there's the power of the dreaming. Like, okay, if you forgot how to daydream, it's time that we go to preschool with 4-year-olds and sit in a circle on the floor with them and ask them to teach us how, because they have not forgotten, right?
100%, 100%. I agree with you there, and it's so amazing that you've expanded onto this. There's certainly and definitely lots of aha moments for everybody to take away from this episode. We have definitely inspired lots of people, whether they're coaches, or whether they want to be coach, or whether they're just looking to start some sort of business or anything like that. There's lots of aha moments for all of them to take away from it. we will be wrapping this up shortly now, and I would like to say thank you very much for your time to come on and sharing so much of your wisdom and journey for everybody to take away from this episode now. Everybody who's listening to this podcast now, or the IG version of it, if you had an aha moment, it's what I will say is it's your responsibility now to share this episode with somebody else. If you had that spark within you whilst you were listening to this, you're like, oh yeah, that's interesting. Even if you just said that to yourself, it's your responsibility now to share this episode with somebody else, because we don't know who's just woken up or gone to bed thinking of a better day. And if you had that aha moment or spark, they might have that as well, and get the engine rolling and start what they want to do. And that's all we need to do. Before we close all this Tuesday Talks Cory3Wing, I usually ask, what would you like to say as a closing section for everybody? But I think you've mentioned quite a huge thing. I'm sure you can add something more.
Sure, absolutely. You know, I did mention the work of Angeles Arian, right? Who's, you know, so way back when I was in college, you know, I got a degree in theater and a degree in women's studies and a degree in cultural anthropology, right? And Angeles Arian, which is Angeles, like Los Angeles, and then Arian is her last name, Arrien. And she's got many books and many classes and courses and amazing work in the world. She's a folklorist and cultural anthropologist, right? And some of the work that she teaches is really amazing. And a lot of it's tribal and indigenous. And she talks and studies about the huge wisdoms that all humans everywhere have in common, which is what I loved when I was studying anthropology, you know, because we're more alike than we're different, you know. And so in this healing journey, there's, you know, if you were to go to a shaman or a healer in these indigenous worlds, they would ask some of these questions. And one of them is, when in your suffering did you stop singing? Because if you can talk, you can sing. And when in your suffering did you stop dancing? Because if you can walk, you can dance. You know, that's a relationship to our body. If we're having body issues, there, you know, the singing is about our thinking and our story, self-story. The dancing is our relationship with our physical body, right? And when did you stop being, you know, amused by laughter, your sense of humor, right? And then when did you stop being comfortable with silence? And so then she asks these questions around that to say, okay, there are these four bones, these four indigenous bones in your own healing, right? That if you're suffering in some way or you're not thriving in some way, these four bones require some attention. And the first bone is your backbone, because this is your stability and your strength to be who you are. So maybe your backbone needs some attention and some love. And maybe it's your wishbone. Maybe your wishbone needs some attention. Now, this is our ability to dream and to look forward and to pray and to hope and to have faith. And then maybe it's your funny bone. Maybe you're taking life a little too seriously. Maybe your funny bone needs some attention and some healing, because that keeps us flexible and open and spontaneous and willing to go into the unknown and not take things personally. And then the last one is the hollow little bone. The hollow little bone. Now, this bone is my favorite, because this is the bone that lets the great mystery move through us rather than us working it. So when we stop allowing the great mystery to move through us, then we put stakes in and we become judgmental and we become sure to the point where nothing else is even possible on the radar. So these four bones, the backbone, your stability, and your wishbone, your faith and your dreaming, and your funny bone, staying open and loose and flexible, and then the hollow little bone being open to the mystery, the great mystery, are such a great, simple, ancient ancient way throughout all time and space, throughout humanity, to take one quick look at yourself and think, you know, I got some bone work to do in my skeleton. Right. Yeah. So I want to leave you with a little bit of that ancient indigenous wisdom, you know, about how do we look at ourselves when we're not thriving, as a quick way to go, maybe I could thrive with a good backbone, funny bone, wishbone, and my hollow little bone. Yeah.
It's definitely got me thinking as well. So yeah, thank you very much for sharing this, and I'm sure everybody who's watching this as well and listening to this, some notes to take away from it. So I would like to say thank you very much, Cory3Wing, for your
Yeah.
time and amazing wisdom that you shared. And everybody else who's watching this, thank you very much. We will see everybody else on next Tuesday.
Yeah. And
Thank you.
real quick,
Yeah.
can I give my website?
Yes, go for it.
Yeah, my personal website is corytimecoaching.com, and that's CORYTIME coaching.com. You know, and then that way you'll get a real good sense of who I am and what I'm doing. And that's probably the best way to get a hold of me. Yeah, for sure. And then, of course, the clearcoachingconcepts.com as my team coaching with my buddies, living the example. Yeah. So thanks, Zishan, for having me on. It's so nice to spend some time with you.
Thank you very much for your time as well. This has been a very amazing episode and very inspirational as well. Thank you.
More time with you, my friend. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye now.